All You Need to Know, the Bloomberg Quint podcast that prepares you for the day's business.
Good morning and thanks for listening in. This is the All You Need to Know podcast on Bloomberg Quint and I'm Alex Matthew. You know, while it might be a little excessive to say that all eyes in India are turning west this morning, it'll be safe to say that quite a few are. And that's because the quite momentous occasion of the selection of a new president in the United States is taking place as you listen to this. Most of the votes are in and they are now getting counted. President Donald Trump has easily won Republican strongholds in Indiana, Kentucky, and West Virginia, a bright spot for the president on an election night that polls predict would not end his way, according to the Associated Press and networks. Democrat Joe Biden won Vermont. The early results gave Trump 24 electoral votes on his way to the 270 needed to claim re-election, while Biden had just 3. But it's early days yet in the vote counting process. Do look up the website bloombergquint.com for the latest information on which way the votes are going. US equity markets built on gains from early in the week overnight. The three averages gained between 1.8 and 2%. And it's a mixed start to trade in the Asia-Pacific region. The Kospi in South Korea was flat last I checked, while the Nikkei 225 and the Australian benchmark were heading in opposite directions. In news back home, it's possible that Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman will soon announce another stimulus package to boost the Indian economy. That's what Economic Affairs Secretary Tarun Bajaj said yesterday. The Finance Ministry, according to him, is looking into suggestions and requests received from various sectors of the economy, and he said this in a virtual conference with the media. Speaking of India's economy, the country's exports declined 5.4% to $24.82 billion in October due to a fall in shipments of sectors like petroleum products, gems and jewelry, and leather, according to the government data that was released yesterday. Exports during the April to October period this year stood at $150.07 billion, which is a decline of over 19% over the same period last year. Now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will tomorrow chair a virtual global investor roundtable that will provide an opportunity for leading global investors and Indian business leaders to engage and deliberate with senior policymakers on how to further accelerate the growth of international investments in the country. In international news, Xi Jinping has said that the Chinese economy can double in size by 2035 and the country can reach high-income status in the next 5 years as the Communist Party outlined ambitious plans for the nation's future. Xi said this in a speech to the party's Central Committee, according to state media Xinhua. Meanwhile, Jack Ma was poised to become Asia's richest person with Ant Group's public offering. Instead, his net worth has tumbled and both retail and institutional investors who were betting on a big first-day pop are in limbo. Ma's holding in Alibaba Group Holdings' US-traded shares fell about $3 billion in value as of last night after Ant said that its listing in both Shanghai and Hong Kong have been suspended. And with that, it's over to Hormuz Fatakia for the trade setup for the day in India. Morning, Hormuz. How are we looking at the start today?
Good morning to you, Alex, and to those tuning in as well. 1,800 points, and that's how much the Nifty Bank Index has gained over the last 2 trading sessions. And all but one stock on the index has registered gains over the last 2 days. But all of that will come to nothing today, as the markets will be keenly awaiting the verdict from the United States, which is coming in thick and fast, as Alex mentioned earlier in the piece. Having said that, it also doesn't mean that there will not be specific stocks that will be reacting to their results and other specific news flow. So here are some of them. First up, Ajanta Pharma has announced a share buyback worth 136 crore rupees. The board will buy back 7.3 lakh shares at 1,850 rupees a share, which is a 15% premium to Tuesday's closing price. It has also declared a dividend of 9.5 rupees a share, and the record date for both has been set as November the 13th. Adani Ports expects its consolidated revenue for FY21 to range between 12.5 to 13,000 crore rupees, while it expects EBITDA to range between 8 to 8,500 crore rupees. Capex guidance is for 2,000 crore rupees, while it expects net debt to EBITDA to return to its target range of 3 to 3.5 times by FY22. The company's results were mostly ahead of consensus estimates. PVR says that it has received complete rent waiver for 60% of its cinemas during the lockdown period and significant discounts post-reopening. It has said that it has sufficient liquidity to manage operations going forward. The multiplex chain reported a loss of 184 crore rupees this quarter, ahead of the Bloomberg estimates of over 200 crore rupees. Kansai Nerolac is optimistic that the revival in demand for paints will continue. The company's decorative business saw double-digit volume growth, while the industrial business saw negative growth with a gradual recovery only in September. India's largest lender, State Bank of India, reports numbers today and will be the only Nifty constituent to do so. Broader market names like HPCL, Apollo Tyres, Balrampur Chini, JK Lakshmi Cement, Jyoti Laboratories, Jubilant Life Sciences, Pidilite, Petronet LNG, among many others, will also be coming out with their quarterly results. Early ticks on the SGX Nifty showed that the index traded 20 points lower around the mark of 11,800. That's all from me today. Do stay tuned to BloombergQuint.com, where we'll keep you up to speed with the outcome in the United States as well as the impact on our markets. With that, I wish you a safe day ahead, and it's back to you, Alex.
Thanks, Hormuz. And as always, thank you all for listening in. Like Hormuz says, a lot of what happens in the markets today is going to be contingent on the results in the US. So do stay tuned to all the updates. Like I said earlier, you'll find them on BloombergQuint.com. Thanks so much for listening and have a fantastic day. This is Alex Matthews signing off.
I hope you enjoyed listening to All You Need to Know. Did you know that you could listen to the show on the IVM Podcast app? On the IVM Podcast app, along with this, we have a number of other shows which you think you'll enjoy. Listen to Cyrus Says with Cyrus Brocha as the host. Listen to Paisa Vaisa with Anupam Gupta. The Scene and the Unseen with Amit Verma, or Shunya One hosted by Shiladitya Mukhopadhyay and myself. Check out the IVM Podcast app to get more talk content that you will enjoy.